The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Welcome, welcome, welcome to Call Camp, everyone. It's Steve Richard. We're doing Challenger Sale in action today, but actually Ghislaine, who just celebrated her one-year anniversary, Ghislaine, who does customer success at Exec Vision, she said it better, I think. She said this is a Call Camp all about how do we master the Challenger Sale. We've been talking about the Challenger Sale for Kevin, what, like 4 years now?
Yeah, it's got to be around there.
But who actually does it, right? I mean, everyone does the assessments now and they look for the quote-unquote challengers, but how many people are really incorporating the challenger approach in an effective way day in and day out across their sales calls? That's what this is all about. So first and foremost, I want to introduce Kevin Dorsey, VP of Sales at Snack Nation. He's not just our celebrity guest coach today, but Kevin's the man who has put in, I think, the best practices that I've seen. I have not seen a better coaching sales leader in the world at this point than Kevin Dorsey, and you're about to see why in a minute. So we are very fortunate that we have Kevin with us today to share pretty much all of his, 95% of your secrets, Kevin? Does that sound right?
I'll give it a 93.6, Steve. Can't give them all away.
Can't give them all away, but that picture is just beautiful. You in front of the whiteboard, teaching people things that are new and then coaching people along the way. So I'll plug Snack Nation right off the bat here. I've had a chance to have some of their healthy office delights, and they really do have a great service. It is snacks as a service, not SaaS, but snacks. That's the snacks as a service. And yeah, Kevin, tell us a little bit about the advent of the business and where it is now.
Yeah, I mean, Snack Nation kind of came from HUMAN, which stood for Helping Unite Mankind in Nutrition. And we saw a big need in the office space for healthier, better for you snacks as a part. And we're about 2 years in at this point for Snack Nation since we made our pivot. And we've grown the team out from 1 rep to, I just had my newest class of SDR start yesterday, and we're now up to 53 total reps, managers on top of that. So we have had some phenomenal growth over the past 2 years, and no signs of slowing down. We're going to push this thing as far as we possibly can.
Very cool. And if you're lucky enough, they might even send you a sample snack box. So if you're interested after this, hit up Snack Nation, get your sample snacks. You're probably going to get hooked, and you'll probably stop buying from Costco. More on that in a minute. I used to work at the. Go ahead, Kevin.
Oh, absolutely.
Good. I used to work at the corporate executive board, and I wanted to put a nod and shout out to them for the ability to do their research years. I mentioned the challenge of sales. So really, there's 2 things you need to know about me. We're family men. This is my crew right here. So first and foremost, it's all about the families, and we know why we're doing it. And here's Kevin and his lovely family in Costa Rica. Was that Costa Rica?
It was Costa Rica. And Steve, you're braver than I am. I stopped at 2. I don't know if I can do 4.
Yeah, that was my wife's call, but I'm glad I have them. It's a lot of fun. It's a great crew. And the other thing you got to know about the 2 of us is we love seeing salespeople get better. We share a passion for salespeople getting better and improving their performance. It really matters to us. And when you see salespeople over the years that have come through your shop and through your operation, and now they're out in the world in really excellent positions, it just brings a smile to our faces. So that's what we're all about. The problem we faced along the way is there was this lack of visibility inside of conversations. So if we wanted to help salespeople get better, the only way to do that was to sit with them side by side or try to deal with call recordings, and call recordings can be a huge challenge. This big pile of unusable call recordings is just hard to do much of anything with it. You can't do all the things that you wanted to do, like build a library of the best calls, give and get feedback, identify keywords and calls, because I don't have time to listen to an hour-long call. I want to jump to specific words within that call and make it a lot easier along the way to create that culture of coaching and that culture of performance improvement. Really, conversation improvement is hard. It's not a lever that's easy for most companies to pull. Most companies can pull a lever and they can do more demand generation at the top of the funnel or get more data or do those kinds of things. But when you think about executing mid-funnel and conversion rates, we find that most companies stumble when it comes to conversation improvement. That's why I brought Kevin on today, is because I watched firsthand how he used his scorecarding technique and method, how he's made it a part of the fabric of the organization at Snack Nation, every salesperson, what's expected of them, how he holds accountability, how he has consistency. It really is absolutely world class. So Kevin, talk for a minute about your scorecard program, where it came from, and just tell us a little bit about, ultimately, what are you trying to accomplish with it? How does it work?
For sure. So, as much as I would love to just take credit, like this is 100% my idea, like most things in my life, I just learned from other people and implemented them in place. So I learned this from Mike Brooks, who has the greatest name in the world, aka Mr. Inside Sales. And he talked about how important it was to have a call structure, because especially as you grow a team, it's easy for me or easy for Steve. If there's one sales rep in the room, it's easy to give feedback and make sure that the calls are getting better the way that we want to. But when we get up to 50, 60, 70 reps, you lose the ability to do that. And you also lose the ability for everyone to be getting the same feedback. If you have two managers, you have the potential for two people to be giving different feedbacks on the calls. So what we did is we took, from listening to thousands and thousands of sales calls, going, well, what are the things we know, if they happen, give us a higher chance of success, and then we put it into a scorecard. And so then what we can do with that is we can score any call that we have and actually show a rep how good it was. It allows managers to show me as the VP that reps are getting better on the phone well before the calls ever close. So my managers are responsible for scoring calls, my reps are responsible for scoring calls. And I think my favorite part about it is you can show reps they're getting better quickly. You can score one call in the morning and score another call in the afternoon, and they can already make improvement. And it's just given us so much more structure to grow this team out.
Yeah, Kevin, that's an important point, because I feel like a lot of companies, in the continuum of they're doing absolutely nothing, they don't even know what good looks like, they don't have a blueprint or a game plan for a call on one end, and on the other end is you. I feel like most companies, everyone looks at what you're doing and they go, wow, we would love to do that. But we feel like somehow it's going to take too much time, too much effort. They have trouble, if you will, getting off the couch and getting to the gym for the first time. Any advice for someone who's like, I want to do this, but I don't know where and how to start?
Yes, and it's surprisingly simple, guys. If you think about what feedback you'd give to someone on their call, start writing down what you look for. Because if you're already listening to your reps' calls, you're looking for specific things already. It's just taking those things and putting them down on paper, going, wow, I'm always asking this question, or I'm always telling them to improve this, or I know if we get the decision maker's first and last name, we can get their email. Like, put those things down on paper. It actually shouldn't take that long. It didn't take long to make the first scorecard. What actually takes longer is working with it and evolving it. You listen to more calls, you learn what gets better, you add it to the scorecard. You listen to a top rep, they do something that works well, you put it to the scorecard. So it really shouldn't take as much time. Block an hour and write down what you want to hear and put some numbers next to it.
I love it. Pretty straightforward. So gang, you have Kevin's scorecard sitting in front of you. You don't even know it. So on the GoToWebinar pane, on the right-hand side of your screen, if you go to the bottom, there should be two handouts. And this is going to be an interactive program here. It's going to be live in the moment. You're going to have a chance to score the call that you're going to hear just the same way that Kevin would. So go download those two Word docs right now. One of them is all about qualifying. The other one's all about closing. Go download those, and that can be the basis for your first scorecard. So go take a minute to do that. And then also, I want to know where you are in your journey. So let's do a quick poll. I'm going to jump in and open up that poll real quick and ask you, Are you using scorecards? Hang on a second here. Go like this and select the poll. Launch. All right, Kevin, are you seeing it on your side? Did it pop the screen?
Yep, I see it.
Awesome. Okay, so here are your answers. No, straightforward. Yes, we follow a formal plan. Or yes, somewhat. We kind of have an idea, but we really don't have that structure that Kevin's talking about in place. Maybe we haven't written it down on paper. Maybe it's more tribal knowledge, that kind of thing's going on, but it really hasn't been formalized. All right, good. 44%, 45% voted. Come on, guys, open up. Click on a radio button. We'd like to hear what you have to say. Call Camp is about learning from each other. I'd like to know where the market is because it really helps everyone figure out where could you be. So far we're seeing about 20% of people saying no. 56% of people are saying, yeah, we kind of have something somewhat, and about 25% of people are saying yes. 70% voted, 71. Come on, guys, vote. And also download those handouts. So go use that handout feature and go to webinar and click and download those 2 Word documents. I mean, you're probably getting $10,000 in value for free sitting right there based on all the effort Kevin's put into those over the years. Awesome. 75% voted, and we ended at 20% no, 25% yes, and 57% kind of. So really what it sounds like, Kevin, is everyone is a little bit before what you've done for the most part. There's about a quarter of the people out there, they're doing this now, they're learning from it, but most people aren't. So
actually, real quick, Steve, I'd be curious the next time you do this, asking if they have a formal call review plan, because there's a difference. A lot of companies do have a formal call plan, but they don't have a formal review plan. Are they actually reviewing it the same way every time? So I'd be curious to hear if that's different for people.
Interesting, and that's a really good point. So what you're saying is they've defined what good looks like for executing a call. They know their call game plan, but are they reviewing to see how people are adhering to the call game plan?
Exactly.
Interesting. Okay, which is why you call those script adherence forms. I think script is sort of a green word here. A lot of people take that as being a negative. It's a call center thing. But in reality, and this comes from, you already shouted out Mike Brooks, MrInsideSales.com. I'm going to give him credit here. He talks about, do any Hollywood actors show up and just wing it? Or do they have a script that they then improvise off of? And it's an obvious answer. We really do have to have some guidance, because if you don't, it turns into the Wild West and we get great inconsistency. And if you had inconsistency, you would not have grown your sales force the way you have.
All right.
Good. So here's the call coaching process. Everyone's seen this on Call Camp a bunch. And with that, let's get into the call itself. And we're going to be listening along the way. Which of these scorecards, Kevin, do you want them to use?
They should be using the closing adherence form.
Excellent. All right, I'm making you presenter right now. And everyone, please ask questions. I'm going to be monitoring questions over on this side, so if we have questions that are coming up that are interesting, that'd be great. And by the way, I think the audio is fixed. If you guys have an audio problem again, then we'll just put it in this question panel.
All right, are we good on my screen here?
I can see you. Take it away.
All right, so before we dive in here, just some high-level stuff here, guys, about like these scorecards. The reason why these work so well, and Steve just talked about it with the word script. If you say the word script to a lot of people, especially salespeople, they feel like it makes them robotic or it makes them not be able to sell well. That's actually the beauty of the adherence form, is it provides the structure. It provides freedom for reps to maybe say it differently. They don't have to use my words or your words, but it gives them the structure of what they need to accomplish on a call. And so what we've done then is we do use ExecVision to score our calls, and we have put our scorecards right into ExecVision. So it's something that allows us to store it digitally. We know where people are scoring and go through it. And so we're going to listen to a call today from one of my top reps, Jordan Cohen. And this is another thing that we use a lot, is we put things in best practice libraries so we can go through it. And Steve, before I dive in, I'd like your opinion. What does the challenger sale mean to you? Like, what does the challenger sale mean to you?
Challenger, people always ask, is it a methodology or is it a philosophy? I think it straddles the two. It's right in between the two. But ultimately what it means is positioning the status quo as being not good enough for people. People don't realize that business as usual and the status quo is bad until you help them realize that, until you help them see something they didn't know before. I'm facing it every day selling Exec Vision. A lot of people are like, well, hey, I got call recording. Isn't that good enough? But when they finally see the gap between what they have versus what they could have, they realize, wow, that's a huge deal. So for me, it's all about challenging status quo.
So Steve nailed it, guys, and Deb, I hope you wrote that down because a lot of people, I think, get the challenger sale misconstrued, that you have to challenge your prospect, that you have to challenge what they say, or you have to challenge like their way of thinking. That's not what the challenger sale is about. It's about challenging that status quo, asking questions that get them to rethink things, that what they're doing may not be the best solution. It's not about challenging what they say or how they say it. And so Steve hit it on the dot, guys. It's about challenging the status quo, and you'll see we have a few examples in this call that Jordan does a very good job of this. So we will dive in, and you can score along the way, and there'll be places that I pause to like note things in terms of where I think something was good or where it was bad, and we can get into it. Anything else to add, Steve?
Take it away.
All right, so we'll dive in. So this is on a pitch call from Jordan, and we'll dive right in.
Kristen. Hey, Kristen. Jordan calling from Snack Nation. How's it going? Oh, I'm doing well. How are you? I'm doing good. Is now still a good time for us to chat? Yes, that's perfect. I totally forgot, but yeah, I have a meeting at 3, so this works really well. Awesome. No, I appreciate you carving out the time. I was so excited to chat. I hear you're the office hero over there. I am indeed. Well, congratulations.
So we'll pause right there. Something that Jordan does such a great job of on all of his calls, you can hear it in his tonality. He comes in with a light tone, a natural laugh in there, and starts it off with a little bit of a joke to kind of set the tone in terms of calling her the office hero, talking about a cape and mask, like setting the tone. And so these are areas that I mark for him, like great job bringing the energy, get her laughing. Early cape and mask joke is solid. And he's told that joke hundreds of times and delivers it perfectly every time.
Congratulations. Hopefully it comes with a cape and mask. If not, we can try and arrange that. But no, I'm thrilled we're able to chat. I was able to talk with my colleague Lizette a little bit, who's fantastic. I'm not sure if you got to speak with her. I did. She's so nice. She's great. Yeah, she's absolutely phenomenal. And so Lizette and I work hand in hand, particularly because Lizette focuses on really finding those companies that have that right culture fit, right? And I work a lot with our larger members, particularly when it's a little bit more complex. Like, hey, you got 2 floors, you got a bunch of different tastes and palettes. How do we make this work? Right. And so, yeah, so Lizette told me you're ordering for many floors. You got 50 people on each floor. One floor is your office. Another is an aggregate of companies. And between the two, you're spending about $1,000 a month on snacks alone, and trying to keep snacks at all times, but trying to find some healthier stuff. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we have we make Costco Instacart orders every week, but a lot of the time the snacks that we want from them are sold out because they're very popular. And those. You mean not everyone shops at Costco?
So a couple of things have happened here already, and I want to make a point for if there's AEs listening or sales leaders. Jordan does a very good job here of reconfirming the notes from the SDR without asking the same questions. I'm sure Steve can speak to this, and I know it happens to me all the time. I talk to an SDR, I answer questions, I get to the demo, and then the AE asks me the exact same questions all over again. Jordan does a good job of just reconfirming things and going. But then you heard it. He jumped in a little bit quick. She was still talking, and he jumped in. And so that's an area that I note, like, hey, be patient, right? Let her keep talking as an area of improvement for her, because then he can get more information from her.
Yeah, hey, Kevin, real quick, one more thing to add on that is that's a big area where we see people leveraging call recordings and game tape is in handoffs from sales development reps to account executives. It's one thing to see these typed up notes, but it's another thing entirely for Jordan to be able to go and listen to the call of the SDR to hear what the prospect sounds like, hear her voice unfiltered.
Yeah, and if you heard it, we talked about this when we did this call earlier, but how Jordan talks about his SDR. I don't know if you guys have ever thought about this, but Jordan starts this call off going, "Isn't Lizette great? Isn't she just so good?" And what that does is it establishes a relationship with the person you're talking to, because the only person Kristen's ever spoke with now is Lizette. He's leveraging her relationship with Lizette as a common bond, and so it's a great way to start off a call complimenting your SDR, complimenting whoever that handoff was. If it was an inbound lead from a piece of content, oh, doesn't marketing put great pieces out there? Like, set that tone that what brought them here was a good thing.
So basically, it would be nice to be able to have an option of like the healthier fun snacks that people enjoy, rather than like the basic ones that we order. I mean, people eat like free food, right? So it's not like we're like starving over there, but it definitely nice to change it up. And I've noticed that when we do have like new things in the pantry, people tend to get really excited. So
Yeah.
So yeah, we definitely want to try you out.
Awesome. And so you make all the decisions around the snacking, Kristen?
Pretty much, yeah. That is me.
Hot man. That is tough. Wait, so you mentioned a few things there, right? Like one is convenience, the other is health, the other being variety and newness. So just to kind of like because it's really important to me that I understand your team, right? I think it's kind of like every office. Although there's people working and grinding and going hard, it's important to understand your culture. And so, when you say health, I mean, why healthy? Do you have some, health nuts in the office, or people that are just looking to eat healthier, maybe some dietary restrictions?
So what Jordan does a very good job of there is we're going for a why. We're going to start to create a gap or start to challenge the status quo. And so he learned that health was important. And as opposed to pitching, as opposed to going like, oh, well, we have a bunch of healthy snacks, he's going to dig in there and find out what's going on with health, why health. And when you can give solid leads, examples of ideas, it makes you appear more of an expert. So he goes, okay, why health? Do you have a wellness program? Are there people with dietary restrictions? Like helping lead that conversation along, that it's easier on his prospect to come up with some of these answers.
Hey, hold on, Kevin, real quick. Hang on. I want to make sure everyone really appreciates this, okay? And stop for a minute and think about this. I don't know what you're selling or who you're selling to, but can you imagine being in Jordan's shoes where your job is to sell a commoditized snack for a living? I mean, yes and no. I know there are some differences, Kevin, but really when push comes to shove, a snack is sort of viewed as being the ultimate commodity that's out there. And you're expected to sell those snacks in a recurring revenue model as a subscription basis. What everyone on this call needs to appreciate is this is the purest form of selling there is. It's almost like being able to go back in time and sell vacuum cleaners door to door. It's just pure selling, unadulterated selling. If you can sell this, you can sell anything. So all these little things that Kevin has his team doing on these calls, like the whys, you'll hear him talk about asking the 3 why questions. Kevin doesn't have the luxury of not doing it, because if you don't do these things, your sales drop off a cliff precipitously. You don't have the luxury of the product selling itself, if you will. You really need to sell this product against someone like Costco, who ultimately is going to have more or less the same stuff at a lower cost. So you've got to be selling and creating a gap in a place where it's difficult to. So go back to the handouts, everyone. I want to make sure you can download. Let me know if you cannot download the handouts for that scorecard that Kevin had there. And also, I put the slides there. I've had some people asking me about the slides. So the slides are available for download there. So guys, as you're listening to this call, have that scorecard in front of you and start filling it in for yourself. Go ahead, Kevin.
And Yeah, that's the beauty of the scorecards, guys, is new rep, new manager, old manager. You could step into my office right now and score my team almost as well as I could just because we do have this format in place. So let's let Jordan keep going here and we can start getting into some challenging and some gaps.
Dietary restrictions, I think mainly it's like all very young, ambitious people, and traditionally they're like thinking about like what's best for like their mind and productivity. And typically like fattier, salty, delicious snacks, as good as they are, they're not eaten as much here just because I think it lowers productivity and like it makes you slow, you know, like just nutritionally it's not great for your body. So if you like a few, I guess like a good portion of us are health nuts. We do provide like treats. Like we'll order, for example, I don't know, like cakes and stuff for like parties that we have every once in a while or happy hour. But typically the healthier the snacks, the faster they go.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just how you described that, right? I mean, what's preventing you from finding? Because it sounds like, hey, you know, in a perfect world, we'd always have healthy snacks for the team because that's what they want, and that's what they're asking for, and that's what goes first, and that's what they like eating, and that's what makes them more productive. What's preventing you from getting those snacks now?
So this is our first challenge, guys, is we're hearing that the team likes healthy snacks, they have health nuts, they have people that have dietary restrictions, and what Jordan's going to do now is he's going to let her, Kristen, tell him what's wrong with the status quo. What most sales reps do at this point is they hear, oh yeah, healthy stuff is better, healthy stuff goes quick, or for your product, yeah, this is wrong, and sales reps immediately go into a pitch to tell them what's better, right? Oh, this is better. We do the opposite. We're going to try to get you to tell us what's wrong with the status quo, what's preventing you from doing what you actually want to do.
Usually just availability. For the most part, like I said when I do the ordering, a lot of the times the things that we want to order aren't in stock, or like you can't get delivered in time, or what have you. Or like when we do order it, like the delivery is like very, very, like a very specific window. Like I can't come in on Saturdays when a lot of the deliveries are. So it's just like depends. It's really availability and what's in stock, I guess.
If I could play this part back 100 times to reinforce how valuable it is to get your prospect to tell you what's holding them back, I would. Because normally people would pitch, oh yeah, Costco doesn't have availability. Oh yeah, Costco doesn't have this. Costco doesn't have that. He's getting her to say these things, which is starting to build that gap on the status quo not being good enough. Oh, and by the way, guys, we do 70% of our sales outbound. These aren't inbound leads coming to us. We are reaching out to people cold and doing this whole thing from the onset. So these aren't just people that raise their hands. We're establishing interest and curiosity from the very beginning.
Yeah, wow. I mean, so I mean, fair to say we're not only limited by Costco, but also, you know, constrained by Costco, even in the sense of, you know, frustrating delivery orders, and all that. Wow. Yeah. You know, if I described, like, I'm just like kind of laughing at myself because, like, if I described any other situation like that, like, my mom would be like, get out of that relationship.
It makes no time for us, you know? Like, it's not fair. It's all one-sided.
Right. Right. It's not a two-way street. I'm giving them all my time and money, and I'm always going to them, and they're never coming to me. No. Well, yeah. Well, now I'm talking about a relationship. It should always be both ways, right? You shouldn't always. It shouldn't be a one-sided relationship. And if anything, they should be supporting you guys. But anyways, so I think we nailed down. We nailed down the health. But so talking about variety, so you mentioned that like when you bring in new healthy snacks, the team goes nuts for it.
Yeah, always like even some of our people like bring in stuff that their friends are working on. Like their friends have like cool companies, and like will bring in like these random snacks that no one's ever tried before, and people get so excited. Like it's something to kind of like to change up the day, not only, but to also like change up their palate and like kind of, I don't know, have fun with what they're eating.
Right, and so they like that discovery, they like that challenge, but like I don't want to say what's keep preventing you from getting new snacks. I think we get that now.
Yeah.
But how often do you guys switch up for the team?
It's, I guess, seasonally, like, and also availability. So like if I see something, like I do most of the ordering through Instacart because we get like bulk deliveries, and it's easier to choose like when exactly things would be delivered. So when that's the case, if there's like something new from Whole Foods or Costco even, I'll kind of just bring it in and see how it does, and if it does really well, if it goes fast, then I order it again and again.
So a couple things I want you guys to note here. First off, we are 8 minutes and 7 seconds into this call, and Jordan has not said one thing about Snack Nation. For many of you that are pitching softwares or anything else, I would challenge you to see how often it is before your reps are jumping in to pitch. We're 8 minutes in, and we've gotten her to talk about her snacks for 8 minutes. All right? That's all through great questions. And what Jordan's doing a very good job of now is earlier we found out health was important. So we're going to challenge. We're going to say, well, what's wrong? Why aren't we getting health right now? And what he did such a good job of here is creating a second gap, because earlier she had mentioned variety was also important. And now we're saying, okay, well, let's talk about variety. And because she'd already told him the things that were off with Costco, he can just reconfirm. Right, so I think we're both on the same page, right? Costco isn't letting you mix it up either. We're now starting to make the status quo the problem, not the current solution. And all this is questions. And you guys will notice on the scorecards that it isn't telling them what to say. It's actually telling them what to ask, what we need to discover, what's important to do. And Jordan's doing a very good job of this so far.
Hey, hold on real quick before you play it, Kevin. I got a good question from Jenna that came in.
Yeah.
She said, well, wait a minute. She already said Costco availability and healthy snacks. Is the intention to pry on pain? Doesn't it sound like you're not listening to them when you ask them again and again and they have to explain again and again?
So great question. So if you actually listen to Jordan, did he ask her again? Did he ask her again if Costco was preventing? He actually didn't ask again. He actually reconfirmed. Okay, I know that. I think we're on the same page. Let's see if I can play it real quick.
If you most of the ordering through Instacart, because we get like bulk of these random snacks that no one's ever tried before, and people get so excited. Like it's something to kind of like to change up the day, not only, but to also like change up their palate and like kind of, I don't know, have fun with what they're eating.
Right, and so they like that discovery, they like that challenge, but like I don't want to say what's keep preventing you from getting new snacks. I think that's...
So notice what he did there. It was Jenna, right? He did exactly what you were saying, is he was about to ask it, and he stopped and just reconfirmed it so that he wasn't just harping on the same question. The next question that he asks is, again, the additional challenge of, well, how often are you mixing it up? That's what makes the gap real. That's what makes the challenge real. Like, yeah, we mix up seasonally. Well, now we know there's a lot of room for improvement in terms of being able to mix it up more often. Does that help answer the question?
I think it does. And Jenna, I'm going to throw in 2 cents there too. I think that it's kind of funny because you bring up pain. Pain is a word. It's a term from the Sandler sales training system, the pain funnel. Mm-hmm. You may be doing that intentionally or unintentionally. And if you think about the challenger sale and the idea of creating a gap and making the future state safer than the current state, if you think about that, it's more or less the same idea. What we're getting to is there is a deficiency in the sales profession of once you identify that gap of really establishing and building what that gap looks like and helping the prospect to realize how big the gap actually is. That's what we see salespeople miss on again and again. And that's why in this case you hear Jordan, yes, he's confirming, but then he's adding and building to it. He's helping deepen Kristen's own understanding of what her gap is. Because if he had just jumped in and started selling snacks, oh, well, we can make it easier for this and do this and that, and make all that go away before she realized how big of the gap it was, how hard is she really going to fight when it comes to talking to her CFO about why they should spend more money on snacks? So that's what this is all about, and really what Mastering the Challenger sale is all about, is making that gap as big as you can possibly make it.
Okay. For sure. All right, let's jump back in here.
Oh, it does, and if it does really well, if it goes fast, and I order it again and again.
Yeah, so I mean, like, team likes the newness. Because, I mean, you said, like, when I said how obvious is it, especially if you're like a deep sigh, it was like seasonally.
Yeah.
Like is this some burden of like, oh my God, don't even bring it up?
It's just, I mean, it's definitely like something that takes time out of the day. And I mean, I like doing it. It's like a fun activity, but at the same time, sometimes it can get frustrating because I'm like, what am I going to order this week, you know?
Right. And what, I mean, so the team likes the newness, the team likes the discovery, but we're not only limited by what we're able to find at Costco, but we're also limited by time.
Yeah.
Okay. So that right there is, again, it's to reconfirm, but all those things that he just reconfirmed, we're limited by Costco and we're limited by time. She told him. It wasn't the other way around. The amount of demos that I sit through where people are telling me what's wrong with my current process without me telling them what's wrong with the current process is pretty mind-boggling. You got to get your prospect to say it. And to Jenna's earlier point, I've never been a big fan of the pain idea. Like, making people feel pain doesn't make people feel good, both as a rep and as a prospect. If just you're showing them how things could get better and where that gap lies, that's why we use the word gap here instead of pain point, because we want to just show them there's something missing, not necessarily that there's a pain to it.
Completely.
Yeah. Cool. And sometimes it's cool for you to be surprised too. Like, it's no fun if you know everything that's coming.
Mhm.
Like, you can treat yourself a little bit with a little surprise, but no. Cool. So I guess ultimately, well, I'm just curious, like, you know, you have the healthy, I mean, what, you have the health, you have the variety, you have the newness. I mean, what's kept you from switching it up already?
I think just get stuck in like a routine and a rhythm, and it's easier to not switch it up and to not change things. It's easier to like kind of stay consistent.
Right.
Especially like not only do I like order the snacks and like food, but like I have several other things going on. So like this, like a lot of times it takes like.
So guys, I'm going to give you a little quick tip here. You know you've asked a good challenger-based question when you can tell they've never thought about it before. When he asks that question of, well, why haven't you switched it up yet? You can hear her go, and she has to think about it. She's never thought about that before. That's when you know you're starting to challenge somebody or push them or get them to expand their horizons. When you're asking questions about what they do they've never thought about before. That's when you're starting to challenge. That's when you're starting to get people outside of that norm, because you can hear it in her response. He's honest. He's like, why haven't you switched? Well, yeah, I guess it's because of X. That is a great, great question that he asked there.
Like the back road, like I don't pay attention to it as much, and so I just do what I know, you know?
Right. And what's funny about that too, it's like, you know, routine is critical. Like, you know, I'm such a routine-oriented guy, but like, there's, from everything you told me, it's like the team likes newness, the team likes variety, the team likes trying new things, the team likes healthier snacks, the team likes everything that Costco doesn't have ever. And even when I'm going there, it's making my life miserable, and I have multiple expense reports, and once I do all this, they still can't tell me they ship on them Monday, right?
Right, exactly.
but then on top of all this, so not only is it like a suffocating relationship you guys have with Costco that it's like not meeting your needs, but on top of that, like the only reason we haven't done it is because you don't have the support that you need.
Right.
Right. Like so
real.
That's some real Dr. Phil shit right there. No.
Yeah.
So I guess why are you?
Steve, did he just swear on this call?
I love it, though. Kevin, I love it. I was actually just about to have you pause and say that because the thing I love so much about it is that is a very human and a very real interaction. And what Jordan does here, boy, he's a disarming guy. Some of this is art and some is science. And the thing he does that's so artful is making her the hero. He paints a very clear image there and picture, and he does it in a nice, clear, concise way of how Costco is the villain and she's the hero. It's just that simple. And there's almost I know you're in LA there with Hollywood scripts and everything. There's a bit of a hero journey, hero narrative going on here where at first, just like the Star Wars film, you've got the heroine at this point kind of lost in, everything's hunky-dory, then she's lost in the woods. And now he's going to take her out, and he's going to be the Obi-Wan Kenobi to take her out of that. I just sort of threw that out there on the spot, but I think there's something to that story arc that he's got going on here. And I actually love the expletive. What do you think?
Yeah, I do. I just hadn't heard it before. I know he did it earlier in the call. That was just the first time that I'd heard it. But no, he does. He's telling a story right now. And the theme he picked on this a lot was the relationship. That she's in a bad relationship, that Costco is not the good relationship she should be in. And once that is set, once you establish that story, you can reference it over and over again. And here we are at 10:59 and still have not done anything on us yet. We're about to get there, but we haven't done it yet.
Take it away.
In the first place, like, is it to boost morale, to boost productivity? I know you hit on that a little bit with the health, but...
Yeah, totally. It's been proven that, like, employees are more proactive and ambitious and productive if there's, like, food available, like, every 150 feet or something crazy. I think Google decided that, which I think it makes sense. Like, people that want to be hungry, it, like, brightens your mood and you eat something tasty. Like, it's necessary, I think, for, like, the new work environment that, like, I guess millennials are trying to establish.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And what's funny too, right, is, millennials we're everywhere. No. But bit by bit, it's not about what's good right now, it's what's going to be good for the next 6 months, right? How do we keep that changing?
Totally.
And what's really tough sometimes, it's like, well, you give a mouse a cookie, it's like, oh my God, I don't want to open Pandora's box. Right? I don't want to well, I think this might make sense because as a friend at this point, I don't understand what you're doing with Costco. It doesn't sound like they're hitting the bill on anything other than they're providing you in some way something edible.
Yes.
But at the same time, truly, you mentioned that this is just one thing on your plate, and pun intended, I guess, but like just one thing on your plate where it requires a lot of attention. And ironically, it's the one thing that if you had to look between you and I get it. I used to be in finance and stuff, and so, when you look at your list of priorities, snacks is just not at the top. But ironically, it takes up the most time.
Absolutely. Yeah. Totally.
Well, can I walk you through what Snack Nation's all about and see if it resonates?
Yeah, totally.
Pause that.
13.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I was going to say, so you can notice our style of sell, we call it internally like a pull sell. We want to pull them along and like go through as opposed to like a pushy sale. I think this might make sense. We got that from Sharon Pearson. She created this course called Ultimate Influence. It's one of the best like influence courses I've ever gone through and taken, and she does such a marvelous job of like pulling people along and getting them to like take those bites. And it's like, I think we might be onto something. What a prospect, you got to remember, you are the salesperson. They're expecting you to say, this is going to be great. This is going to fix it. This is going to make your life better, which starts to put their walls up versus I think we might be onto something. Can I walk you through this? Can I see if this resonates and keep this relationship going, as opposed to going, oh, I've got your solution right now.
And Kevin, to build on that, and then after that, hey, I think we might be onto something. He asked for permission to, would it be okay if I tell you a little bit about Snack Nation? Get the prospect to say, sure, I want to hear, because when the prospect says, yes, I want to learn more and I want to hear about Snack Nation, they're going to lean into the conversation, like you said before, versus if you just start pitching them, they're going to lean back away from the conversation.
Yeah. I can't tell you how many times, guys, like I have a rep go from question to pitch, and I don't even know what happened. Like all of a sudden they're just pitching. I don't know where it happened, versus like, hey, yeah, I think we might be onto something here. And the beauty of all this is when he says, I think we might be onto something, I think this might make sense, can I walk you through it? She also is like, yeah, I think this does make sense, and all this has come from the questions we've asked, not from us telling her why this would make sense, but from the questions we've asked. She's in a position to go, yeah, let's learn a little bit more.
Cool. So, Snack Nation, holy smokes, Chris, and I wanted to say that it was made for companies like you guys. I think we've been waiting all this time. Snack Nation is just made for you. I've just been waiting here for a year now. Yeah. But seriously, made for companies, right? Like, I mean, who are just looking for that convenient solution to enhance the office experience. Like, how hard is it to devote all that time? And we get that, right? And so what we do is every month we deliver this really hassle-free, really fun second experience. If I get too pumped up, you're going to have to dial me back. I just love this stuff. But, like, it is just the most incredible experience. And so what we do, right, is we not only make it so simple for you guys to get the most amazing variety of snacks, but we also connect you to a lot of the world's leading and emerging brands.
So you can already hear it here, and I made a note. He's starting to get, speed up. He's starting to go a little bit too quick. And within that first intro, he actually really hasn't tied Snack Nation to her yet. He says it. He goes, oh, this was made for you. But he didn't immediately link back why. He didn't immediately link back why it was for her. He starts to get amped up. He starts to get into pitch mode. He needs to slow down a little bit and start linking things back to the things that she had said earlier. Our philosophy on questions is don't ask a question you're not going to use. And so now the goal is, how many times is he going to use the information he learned during this pitch?
And so, you mentioned that, hey, we got millennials all over the place, and they love trying new, healthier, innovative snacks, right?
There's one.
Yeah.
So we have thousands of snacks, okay? I mean, breaking down Costco's barriers, but, like, we're talking thousands, like, everything from grass-fed beef jerky to cocoa-dusted coconut chips. My new favorite, have you ever had a banana?
No. What is that?
Oh, my God. It's basically contributing to like, my Netflix addiction. No. Imagine organic bite-sized banana bites covered in milk chocolate.
Oh, delicious. That sounds amazing. I mean, I love that. Yeah, that's so
right, and that is one of 4,500 plus snacks that we have over here.
Wow.
Right? So with Snack Nation, it's not just about, having better snacks or having healthier snacks, but it's also about having something for everyone and making sure no one's left out. Right? You mentioned some people have dietary restrictions.
Right, so there it is again. You mentioned this, let me explain that. You mentioned there's millennials, let me link it back. You said you wanted treats, have you had a banana? He's only been pitching for 1 minute and 48 seconds now, but he's already asked, again, 3 or 4 questions in that first minute and a half, keeping her engaged and, again, reconfirming things that we learned earlier on. That's what the law of consistency is all about, guys, is once they've said it, they have to stay consistent with it. He can bring it back up, reconfirm it, and then every time, you told me this, well, let's talk about a solution to it. You told me this, right? Let's talk about a solution to it so that the pitch isn't just him talking for 10 minutes straight.
Some people want healthier, some people want indulgent. We have the full spectrum so that you don't have to worry about that. But you also mentioned, like, we order the same thing over and over again, right? And, like, it's just kind of getting a little monotonous, right? As I'll put in your words, seasonally sigh, right? but so what we do, right, is every month we provide you with a fresh rotation of brands, flavors, snacks. So the snacks never get bored, they never get stale, and the team is always trying new things, discovering new flavors, new brands that they're going to love, month over month.
Yeah.
And I mean, at this point, we know, like, okay, Costco may not have the snacks, but they certainly don't have the support, right? We're not even talking about meeting you halfway. It's becoming a taxing experience for you and the team. And so what we do is we set you up with your own personal snack concierge. Okay? This person is not only your new best friend and the greatest job title of all time, but they are absolutely dedicated to making sure you and the team love your snacks. And not only just love your snacks, but delivering on a streamlined, simple, convenient service that's going to enhance your office experience to keep those affluent millennial population at bay, always discovering new snacks, but also super productive because they're all made with better ingredients, right?
Yeah.
And so instead of worried about, hey, tell me what you and 100 of your friends want to eat for the next 30 days, right, which I would have trouble finding where to go to lunch with 5 of my friends, right?
Right. No, completely.
What we say is, hey, tell us what you don't like. Tell us the dietary restrictions. Maybe you have that one vegan, 2 gluten-free, and someone who doesn't like, kale chips. Let us know. We exclude those snacks from your box, and then every month curate a brand new variety for you and the team. So that way, they're always engaged, they're always excited, and there's something for everyone. No one's left out.
That's so cool. Like,
Yeah. Oh my God.
How often is this?
Can you pause that there, Kevin? I want to make sure we have enough time to get to the scorecards here, so that's phenomenal. Was there anything else in maybe those last 2 comments that you wanted to run through here if you want to jump ahead a little bit and talk a little bit about pricing, or do you want to jump into the scorecards?
I think we can jump into the scorecards here as we've made it about 3/4 of the way through the call. So we have our scorecard in Executive Vision, and hopefully you guys have been scoring along the way here. But we have the scorecard right here. So then what I'm able to do is come in, click on the call that it was, and you can see I've scored this call already. And the questions are right there. Was it clear that they researched beforehand? Absolutely it was. Did they use that call? Use the call? Yes, they did. So we can look at these things and see, like, okay, he's doing well on a lot of these things here. Now let's look at some of the areas that he didn't do well. Did he uncover why they provide snacks? He did uncover it. He found out why they provide it, but he didn't dig in as well as I'd like him to, so that's why I marked him a little bit lower there. Let's look at some other ones. Here's one. It's a 1. Is proof used throughout the pitch? So using social proof or facts and figures. He didn't really use any of that throughout the call, so that would be marked as a 1. Now, this was still a great call, but it even shows on the best of calls that we can say, hey, there's still areas to improve. There's places to get better. And is the cost justified with the results? So this is something that we talk about a lot here. It's not $229 for a box of snacks. It's $229 to finally not have to go to Costco, have a happier team, and make sure everyone is actually feeling better about what they're eating. You have to justify the cost with the results, not with the product. So when you guys are selling me stuff and you're telling me it's $30 a seat or $100 a seat, I don't want a seat. I want what comes from your product. Tell me it's $30 a month to make sure my reps are sending the emails that they should and they're getting opened more often, and then I'm going to have more sales. That's how you justify cost, not by telling me what it is per seat. What else here? Value of discounts and promos. So if we jump back to the call, you'll hear that he rushed through the promo a little bit. Like he dropped the price without giving a deadline or a timeline to it. So that's something that we want to make sure that we address. And so this is the beauty of the scorecards, guys, is even with my best reps, even with your best reps, there's going to be areas that they can improve. There's going to be places they can get better. And it would be so easy for a manager to listen to his call and go, this was a great call. This was a great call. And no room for improvement was given versus showing, man, here's all the things that you did great. here are the 2 places I want to make sure that we never score a 1 on. Let's get better at asking for that DM. And you can practice that. Now these calls get better, and it's stored, so the next time we score a call, I can see his score. I can see if he got better. You know, and we do this even by chunking. So sorry if I'm rambling here, but once we find out where a rep needs to improve the most, that's where we score their calls. That's where we have them score. So if they're scoring low on the pitch section, let's see if I can pull one up here. Right, so if I have like they're scoring low in the qualifying section, well then this is all we're going to focus on for the next 2 weeks until it improves. Because it doesn't make sense to score the whole call or to practice the whole call if this is where they are hurting, right? So this is like one of our qualifying forms, and then that's what they do. And week in, week out, we use these scores to show how they're performing and where they can get better.
Kevin, unbelievable. I mean, I'm sitting here like thinking about my own sales calls right now as you were going through those areas you scored low, and I go, geez, in aggregate, I would score myself low on that. I would score myself low on that. Like, and it just goes to show there's always something to learn. To quote my friend Art Sobchak, he says, "Sales is a school you never graduate from." I think just the way you approach your craft is a real inspiration in how you guys go about your business. I'm going to pull the presenter back from me here real quick, and we're gonna wrap it up. So everyone, any questions for Kevin? I mean, it's very rare that you're going to have an opportunity to be able to talk with someone like Kevin and have Kevin answer questions. I think this picture really sums it up. Kevin went to the University of Wisconsin, as did the famed J.J. Watt. And you think about someone like a J.J. Watt. I love this quote: "Success isn't owned; it's leased, and rent is due every day." If you're really serious about sales as a career, and if you really are serious about creating great experiences for your buyers, you have to study your craft. You have to work at your profession, and you have to do something every day. It doesn't even matter if it's a lot. You know what you saw Kevin doing there with scoring calls. You know, like you said, Kevin, before, how much does it take? I'm going to ask you a question. How much does it take to get someone to become a little bit better? I know you said after you do one call, but realistically, if you're going to do this programmatically, day in and day out, or week in and week out, how frequently, how much time?
Well, surprisingly, it's not that much time when you do have a formula for success. We have reps that, I mean, we've doubled call scores in a matter of weeks because they know what they're actually trying to do. When the format or the follow-up or the tips they're being given are just ad hoc, it's hard to do. But I can take a rep that's scoring 60% and get them up to 90% in a matter of weeks when they know what 90% looks like.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing. All right, any questions? Let me go take a look and see if anybody's popped in any questions for Kevin or any comments. Are reps asked to score their own calls first? Drew asked.
Both. So yes, reps are responsible for scoring a minimum of 3 calls per week, and managers are responsible for scoring at least 2 calls per rep per week. Sometimes it's the same call to make sure we're on the same page. Sometimes a rep requests coaching on a call, and then other times just for kind of like spot checking, a manager just pulls a random call. Let's just see, because obviously the reps are only going to send you the ones that they think they did well on. So sometimes we got to look for the ones they didn't do so well on.
So what do you think the time commitment is overall for one of your managers over the course of a week? What percentage of time are they going in and reviewing the performance and adherence?
I mean, it's a minimum, I would say about 5-6 hours per week, because they're doing 2 scored calls per rep, and my managers range from 8 to 10 reps on their team. And then they do 1 live call coaching. So similar to this, what we do, Steve, and we got this from Dave Brock, the author of the Sales Manager Survival Guide. We actually sit down and we go through a call together, like pause. Okay, so where are we going to go from here? Listening back, what should we have done next? Okay, what did we miss when we were on the call? And we do like a live call. So it's minimum of 6 hours per week, if not more. To me, this is outside of DRs. The most important thing that they do is improving the conversations of our reps.
Hey, Kevin, last question for you. What have you seen in terms of improvement metrics on things like close rates, conversion rates, ramp time to productivity, any of the key metrics that you look at to measure the performance of the sales team?
Jesus. Okay, so SDR ramp time has been cut in half. I have SDRs ramped in a matter of weeks and on top of the leaderboard by their second month. So ramp time has gone down significantly. Conversion rates have gone up. It's the first place that we look. If someone is converting poorly on their opportunities, the very first question I ask my managers are, where are their calls scoring? And then when we improve those areas, so we've had reps, some lower performers, we've had them almost double up on conversion rate, go from 12% to 24% and onwards. Like we know if the calls are scoring well, and for the managers listening, this also helps with real issue diagnosis. If the calls are going well and they're still not closing, then you know you have a list problem. They're not working with the right companies. So instead of banging our head against the wall like, oh, you just have to be a better salesperson, it's, oh, we need to be in front of the right company. So we've seen, since implementing scorecards, every metric we have basically has improved. And it's not an exaggeration.
I love it. Well, everyone, thank you so much for joining. Really appreciate it. And if you want your team's calls coached by an expert like Kevin, please use this link, and you'll have a prompt to submit and upload your call. Kevin, really, thank you so much. I mean, every time I hear your story, I'm blown away. Remember, everyone, he's selling snacks, people. The team is selling snacks. So every little edge and every little advantage that he can pick up along the way from people like the Dave Brocks of the world and the Mr. Inside Sales of the world he has. So, Kevin, thanks for being, I think, a model for all of us to aspire to.
Hell yeah, appreciate it, Steve. Have a great rest of your week, guys.
All right, get healthy snacks, people. Take care.